Well, and isn't that kind of what prompted this legislation where now if you're going to contest any constitutional issue in the state of Illinois, then you have to do that either in Sangamon County or Cook County. Is that
Well,
what I was hearing?
brings us to our other case, of course, which is up in Lake County, where we're contesting Amendment 1 that was supposedly ratified by the people of Illinois last November as well.
And just for our audience, if you're just joining us here at Cities 92.9, the news and talk of Bloomington Normal, I'm David Paul Blumenshine. This is the DPB show. On the line with me and online via Facebook Live and Twitter and YouTube and Rumble is David Shestokas, constitutional attorney, former candidate for attorney general, a wealth of knowledge, does constitutional sound bites. But David, Amendment 1, for our audience, you probably know it as the workers' rights because you saw those light blue signs all throughout the landscape prior to the election. This is the bill that basically made it so that private or public unions basically were given the fourth branch of government.
That's in essence what Amendment 1 does. It gives kind of public unions because, and while they called it workers' rights, it was really just about public unions. It had nothing to do with private unions.
Yes.
Those are all governed by federal law, and the supremacy clause of the Constitution says, whatever the state does, it gets trumped by federal law. But that's not the case for public sector unions, for employees of state and local government. And so this was all about giving the state and local unions more authority, more power within the government. But regardless of the substance, Dave, here's the problem. They were saying they put this to the people, to the voters of Illinois, whether or not we should amend our Constitution. It is
which had to pass by 60%. Is that correct?
Basically, that's 60%. There's a strange rule. It's either 60% of the
or 50 or 1% or 59 or whatever it is.
Possible vote. It's a crazy system, but neither here nor there. What the problem was is they didn't have the actual text of the amendment, of the proposed amendment on the ballot any place in the state.
Any place.
Nowhere. Not that we could find. We actually, the folks that are involved with this, actually, you said, can a corrupt system correct itself? These are 5 citizens that brought this.
Okay.
And I was working with them to bring it. Now I'm officially filing an appearance in the case. And but the actual text, the actual language that's going into the Illinois Constitution was not on the ballot. So how can they say the voters of the people, the voters of the state of Illinois ratified a new amendment to the Constitution if it wasn't on the ballot? All that was on the ballot was the explanation of what this amendment was supposed to do. And the explanation was put forward by the people that wanted to pass it.
That's right. That's right.
And so,
David, getting back to these 5 people, because that is a big part of the question. Can a corrupt system actually bring itself to justice? And I know that especially in light of the history of politics in Illinois, the Chicago way, the machine politics, Mike Madigan's reign of privilege and power, and all of the other ancillary things, being in a super minority as the Republican Party for as long as we have, people are finding themselves looking down, finding themselves in a position of, well, what good is it to even participate in the electoral process if they have truly created a system that they will never lose a statewide race, alone let now they're even finding their way into school board races and dominating school board races. Now, they didn't do that in all of the consolidated elections. There were some bright spots for the Republican Party. But you have people that are just, they're almost hopeless. And here you're talking about 5 people were adamant about what was going on with this constitutional amendment being put to vote. And you're saying that they didn't even have the proper question on the ballot for people to vote on.
Right. The language, you would think that if they're asking us to amend the Illinois Constitution, that one simple requirement would be that language would be in front of the voter when they're saying yes or no, right?
So what would be the recourse to something like that? It's already been voted on. Obviously, according to the vote, or at least the numbers that came in, with whatever mathematics they did to figure out if they got the needed votes, they've passed it. Now they're moving towards putting it in. Didn't it go into effect, or
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. In effect, it's in effect.
Yeah.
But the fact is that there's case law in Illinois that, in fact, if an election was conducted on an illegal ballot, that is a ballot that itself did not comply with the law, then the judge, that we have this in front of a judge, has the authority to declare the election null and void.
Well, so David, this is a case once again that I'm sure that Kwame Raoul and Governor Pritzker will continue to do, the old tuck and run, and keep and duck and run, and continue to create. They'll deem it as misinformation, or that truly this could be done under this case, and they'll continue ask for continuances and rebut anything that you bring. Do you believe something like this can truly get repealed?
Well, it's not a question of repeal. Of course, our position is that it was null and void from the get-go.
So it doesn't even have to be repealed.
No.
So repeal is not what you're moving for. It just flat out is dead, and they have to bring it back if they deem to, and put it back on the ballot.
If they want to, my position is if they want to do it, they have to start over from zero and then do it legally.
Yes.
All we ask is that the government of the state of Illinois follow the law.
Yeah.
Is that such a big ask? I would think not, but of course, they have challenges in answering that question in terms of whether they should follow the law or not.
Well,
but that's really the only question. But what's so interesting about this situation, David, is, as you mentioned, you saw all the signs that were out. There was plenty of people saying vote no on Amendment 1. There was hundreds of thousands of dollars spent on this. And we have 5 citizens with whom I've been working, one of whom is a fellow by the name of George Weckbacker. George has been a great patriot in so many ways. And then some folks from the Illinois Freedom Alliance out in Rock Island. We've got the other 4 people together. And they're put this together. I gave them some direction originally. And then this last week, George, in front of the judge, George, who is not a lawyer, went through all the reasons why the ballot was illegal. And then I went through all the reasons why the judge has the authority to declare the election null and void.
Well, David, obviously, we are going to continue to keep an eye on this, because this is very interesting. The fact that the question itself was illegal. I mean, it wasn't supposed to be on the ballot.